You know what I mean? It's just the most horrific experience you could possibly undergo. You get in there, there are, especially if you're not one of the stars of the show, and I've been there so many times. So you go into the thing, and you stand there, and you wait in line, and they call you in, and you go in, and you take your clothes off, and 4 people come in, and they're like, and they walk to the other end of the room, and they're there, and then they put this piece of netting on you, or whatever it is, which is meant to constitute the costume, and they all stand back again, and they look at you, and they go, this is too skinny, he's ugly. Is there anything we can do about that? No, not really. But he hasn't got any... And you're sitting there like, whoa. Half an hour later, they finish. They put a different piece of netting on you, and you're shoved out of the door. So, I mean, by the minute, there's something horrific and humiliating. I mean, it's like being a model, you know. I can't imagine anything more disgusting. I've talked to people who are models, and they just spend their lives being talked about in the most horrific kind of gynecological way. You know what I mean? It's just not on. So I think the nature of the whole job is a humiliation. But I mean, I know that now. I've done some directing and talked about people. You know, you might be sitting right there, and I'm saying, well, she's not very vocal. She's not very loud. She just has nothing interesting about her. I'm so sorry. We're just talking professional stuff. And auditions are the same. They're disgusting. So, I mean, I can't remember anything particularly that was totally embarrassing or humiliating. I mean, I forget my lines at least 5 times a day. I forget to bring... I'm always wearing the wrong costume. I mean, if they give me they give me a Starfleet regular doctor's costume and something else, like a casual thing. I'll turn up to the scene and I'll be in my casual thing, and they'll say, no, you're in the other uniform. And I'm okay, and I run back. And you can see the minutes going by, because I don't know how much it is, but it's minutes and dollars and minutes, and they're going by as I'm wasting them. Colin Meaney. Colin Meaney was very funny. Colin Meaney has now become officially the late person. Every single day we start work, Colin is late. And to the point where, I mean, we all joke about it now, but someone said something brilliant, and that was JG, who plays Martok. And if you ever see Colin, which you probably won't, so I'm fairly safe, he's not a big conventioneer, I know, but if you do, ask him about Greenwich Meanie Time. I know, he was 2 hours late to my show, the one I directed, and I was livid, because you can't get things done, and it starts the process. It's the butterfly, you know. Ooh. He saunters in. Oh, I just can't hear the alarm anymore. Get another one! Yes.
Hi. Whether or not DS9 goes 7 seasons, 6, I guess it's still up in the air, but what do you plan to do after the show does?
I don't... I can't plan it, because it's just going to not happen. It's not going to happen.
You play the same role for the next 20 years.
You know, that could happen. It's tragedy. I mean, I wouldn't complain, of course, but I've tried to plan stuff, and I don't really believe, although it's hard, it's like the whole UFO thing, you know, and it's like the whole, I don't believe in all that zodiac signs and stuff very much, but it's hard to completely ignore it because there's a lot of kind of weird cogency about it all. However, I went when I was 22, I don't know when it was, to a palm reader. I remember very well. I went with Julie Kate Olivier, who was Lord Olivier's daughter, and I went with a girl called something or other, and I can't remember. I was fascinated by her because she was a composer, and I thought that was so cool. I remember that. And still, I went to this thing, and it was called the Farmers Market in Chelsea in London, and we went along. There was this tarot reader, palmist. And he said something to me that I've always remembered because it's anything I can actually equate with anything real. Everything else hasn't, like, happened. Or at least I don't know if it has, and I can't tell. Because they're too ambiguous. Something heavy will happen to you when you are 55. Okay. And you spend the whole of your 55th year going, is that it? I wonder if that's it. Because if it is, I should do something about it. But I can't bear that. So, the thing he did that was he said, your life is going to be like a system of choices you can't make. And I believe that because I think every time I plan something, everything I go right now I'm going to direct, I end up on Star Trek. You know what I mean? Now I'm going to do theater, I end up on TV. Now I'm going to be da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I never actually can choose. So I will say to you that I'd like to do some directing. But I know that's just the kiss of death.
Well, so you're going to do acting and then you'll...
I'm going to be out of a job. Yes.
I have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
First of all, do you think we're going to get to see the Mirror Universe this year again? And second, how would you feel if Bashir was paired off with a Ferengi woman? So we need to see that. We need to see an antithesis of this Beauty and the Beast.
I know it's all this cool, politically correct, kind of undiscriminatory thing, but I don't like Ferengis, and I'm not going to stick with her. I don't care. I'm not Terry Farrell's character who can handle the see-through headed guys. I don't like that. No, I don't think he's going to be paired up with a Ferengi woman. He might be, you know. You write enough letters. It seems to work. He might be. What was the other question?
Mirror Universe.
Oh, the mirrored universe. We've just done a mirrored show. I think we've done the mirrored show for the 6th season now. I don't think they're going to do another one. And he wasn't in it. I mean, Bashir was in it, but it wasn't the mirror Bashir, the My Pony Bashir. So it was. I think next season they might do. It depends, you know. It's really all about the intendant that universe now. And the latest script for her was so excellent that, and she does such an amazing job on it that I think it's going to become. The mirror universe is going to be secondary to what the intendant does, because that has become one of the coolest characters. Just because it's like everything Kira wants to do but can't, because she's constrained by some sort of political largesse. She's like nuts and heavy and harsh and difficult to deal with, and this like 40s film star and this like impossible woman. So I think that's what's the next one's going to do. You're going to see much of the hairy thing. That was weird. That was it. Yes.
How are the chances of season 7? Do you know whether they're already pre-contracted or something?
What are the chances of it? I'm sure I'm talking at a school, but we went through a whole negotiation thing this season with these contracts for this 7th season, because they came to us and they said, well, listen, we might want to do a 7th season, and will you accept, I think it was like a 5% wage rise over that. And everybody started to go, and agents got up and got going, and lawyers got up and got going, and all that stuff. It all happens when you start negotiating. You really meet Hollywood when you start negotiating with the studios. And everybody's fired, and then everybody's hired, and everybody's fired and hired and hired. And you know about Colin Meaney. You thought he was coming and going and coming, and of course he was just negotiating. It was never, he was not doing one thing or the other. He's staying, oh yes, the whole time. You can't hear. Thank you. I better speak louder. I'm so sorry. How long have you not been able to hear?
It's on tape.
It's really? Okay. So what was the question? Column. Yeah, he's staying now for the 7th season. Is what's known as an option for the studio. That means they might be able to. They might feel like doing the show. But if they do feel like doing the show, they want to know that we have no choice but to do the show. That's the way it works. And we have all, I think pretty much, except maybe a couple of people, said that we'll do the show in the 7th season, but only if you feel like it. And I think the amount of, you can tell by the kind of the aggro and the extent to which they actually negotiated with Colin is how much they desperately want that next season. And they gave some sort of nominal wage rise to people this season. And if they don't want the 7th season, they wouldn't have bothered with that. So basically, put it this way, if there is a 7th season, then they haven't wasted their money in giving them the wage rise they've given this season. If there isn't, then someone will lose their job because they just wasted all that money giving it away. You say, why did you give all that money away this season? Because you didn't have to. We weren't even going to have a 7th season. So I think they want a 7th season. Whether or not they have it is another matter altogether. I think they'd be mad not to. I don't know what the Voyager situation. Sorry, I don't know what the Voyager situation is like in terms of business. But you've always got to. I mean, they've realized, I think, that they must have a Star Trek show up and running all the time. And I think it's like a kind of long running soap opera. You know, in the end, you just keep on doing it because it becomes a way of life, and it gains acceptance as that eventually. Because you know, you might despise Dallas, for example, for the longest time, but there's only so long you can say I hate Dallas before you just get crushed by the amount of people who actually watch Dallas and enjoy it, and you have to go, there's Dallas, it lives, it's there. I'm not gonna argue with it. And in a sense, Star Trek is like that. People can rant about Star Trek, go, this is the most horrific pile of rubbish I ever saw in my life. But at the end of the weight of the show and the support it has means it just is like it's a member of the family and it's going to be in the living room whether you like it or not. It's like your new wife's dog came with her. And people will put up with it. So I think for that reason, Star Trek will always be there. Whether or not Deep Space Nine goes on for a seventh, I think depends on what happens. It's so weird. The concept of Star Trek is a business one. You know, I always compare it to Star Trek is like Coca-Cola, and it's very important that you can find it anywhere in the world. And it's very important. It tastes like the Coca-Cola in America, and it tastes like the Coca-Cola, and it tastes like Coca-Cola. And you can occasionally get away from that because, I mean, Deep Space Nine is like a diet Coca-Cola. It tastes a little different, but it's still Coca-Cola. And then as soon as that does well, all the 7-Ups and Mountain Dews kick in. And Babylon 5 has arrived, and all the others, you know. And now they will have their own diet versions too, because they will all do well. But nevertheless, it's as American as Coca-Cola, Star Trek, in that sense. And I'm very proud to be involved with it on that level. However, what am I talking about? We lost everybody. Everybody has forgotten what everybody's talking about.
We just like to listen to you.
I'm talking about nothing at all. I'm making some obscure analogy. You had your hand up a second ago.
Okay. Well, two kind of quick questions. Will there ever be a Star Trek Deep Space Nine movie? And now that you and Nana are married and living together, I mean, when you get a script, do you kind of go, oh, she only got 2 pages this week? You know?
Yeah, we do. I mean, but actually, it's not quite that way around. It's like, I get to spend time with the children this week, you know, and you have to go and work for a living. We definitely look at that. And we also, we talk to each other about whatever the lines are and whatever particular niggly, annoying thing that we've got to deal with regard to the character.